Does your brand suck? Or do you even know if you have a brand or understand what sort of brand you should be building in your business? Well, I have a treat for you. I have my dear friend, Shannon Lavinia, who is not only a multi-seven-figure earner in the online business world herself, but she is a branding expert. And she is here today to help you really understand what your brand is, how to create one online so that you can build a massively powerful online business. So welcome. Thank you, Shannon, for being with us here today.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here with you, and I love talking about this topic. I think it's such a game changer for so many people, and it's such a fun thing. It's such a creative thing to talk about.
Absolutely. Branding is, once you get into the branding world, I think it's really fun and creative. So let's help these folks who may not yet understand branding, if they have a brand or how to create a brand. Where do they start? Because our audience is typically online entrepreneurs who are really here to create time freedom. And so they're building something online that's going to build, passive income and things very leveraged. There's a brand that needs to be built around that. How do you start that conversation and understanding what a brand is?
Great question. So I think a lot of times people don't understand really what a brand is, and that's why they don't give it a lot of attention or think that it has a lot of value to their business. But a brand is really the defining foundation of your entire business. So if you think about, if I take you back to elementary school for a minute, and you remember when you were learning grammar and you had the 5 W's and then they threw in the H, right? So it was like who, what, when, where, why, and how. If we answer those questions about your business, that really is your brand. And everybody's brand is a little bit different. Some brands are like funky and spunky. Some brands are conservative and more solid. Some brands are super creative, and what your brand does is it answers those questions mentally in the mind of your ideal prospect, just visually and with your story. If we start with the very basic of your business, which is why are you doing your business? This is the core fundamental driving principle. It's the heart, it's the soul, it's the mind of your business. And that truly is what is going to connect with your audience. And if you don't answer that question and then visually connect with them very quickly, you're going to lose a lot of attention. A lot of times I see in Facebook groups where I'm a part of, people asking for opinions on their logo, and they'll have a logo, they'll go to Fiverr, they'll get a logo, and they're all excited. And I really want to be excited for them. I want to be so excited for them, but I just can't be excited for them because your brand is not just your logo. And if you don't think about all the other questions that your client is going to ask, your audience is going to ask, or your potential prospect is going to ask, when you're designing that logo and how it's going to connect with them to answer those questions, your logo is kind of going to be a waste of time and money. So that in a nutshell is what a brand is. It's your visuals, right? It's what people are going to connect with, which nowadays you really have between 3 and 5 seconds. And that time span is actually decreasing because we're becoming faster visually. Our visual cognitive connections are becoming much faster because we're inundated with visual stuff all day long, right? You have 3 to 5 seconds to visually connect with somebody. So that's your visuals. It's also your story and how you're going to communicate. It's your messaging and what you say in every email and every post. And it's what is creating the perceptions in the mind of your ideal customer that then has them fall in love and become very, very loyal to your brand. It's also what transcends over the years and the decades. Like your brand, it's gonna evolve somewhat, but those core principles are gonna stay the same. And it's gonna carry you through whatever business you do, whatever book you write, whatever speaking engagement you have. Your brand is what is going to drive every element of your production.
I've been in those conversations too where people are like, look at my new brand, and it's a logo. So that is a big misconception. Your brand isn't your logo. Your logo should be a part of your brand, but that is not a brand. So I'm glad that you brought that up because that I think is a massive misconception in the online business world. So if you had a new client in front of you, someone who's building an online business, what are the what would you walk them through as they try to sculpt and create a brand for themselves?
I love that. So first thing that we do is we really deep dive into why they're doing their business. And I think that fundamentally this is the most important thing. And a lot of times I'll talk to people and the very surface answer is because they want to generate income. That is fundamentally the outcome of every business, right? Your business is you drive your business to be profitable. There is every reward in that because that money is going to provide a lot for you. But underneath that, money is very fleeting because if you are just like, I want to make money, you're not really going to go through the work and the hurdles and the challenges that come when you're building a 6 or a 7-figure business, a multiple 7-figure business. If you're building a business to sell, I've done brands for Amazon businesses and charities, marketing businesses, CAD CAM, you name it. We've done branding for them. Network marketing leaders, direct selling leaders, all kinds of companies. No matter whether we're in a corporate office or I'm sitting down one-on-one with a new person starting a network marketing business, the same question is, why are you doing this business? Why? What impact do you really want to make on yourself, on your family, on your group, on the world? What is the legacy that you're creating with this business? And once we get to that driving passion, the next question is, who is your ideal customer? Who are we creating this business for? Who's going to value your products? Once we find out really kind of a model of who that is, there's a fancy word for that called avatar, which ever since the movie came out, I think is just confusing for people because they're like, what does a giant blue person have to do with this? But it's kind of like you're making up a person, like who is that ideal person you want to work with? Once we have that, then we start to get into the visuals of what connects the core of your business with the ideal customer. Because there has to be a match. When we're developing a brand, heck, I love, everything pink and violet, but it doesn't mean that my brand's going to be pink and violet, right? It means that I'm going to look at what colors are going to match my ideal customer. What are they interested in? And there's a lot of psychology to colors. A lot of people don't know the number one color that female audiences do not resonate with is orange. And the number one color that they do resonate with is the blue spectrum. And then the next one is into the purple spectrum. Leo, you're wearing the perfect shirt today. And the same thing with men. So if your brand is both male and female, then you're going to pick a color that is high on the psychological impact range for both men and women, right? Which would be blue. Anything in the blue spectrum is going to be great for both. We look at the psychology of that, and then we look into fonts. What are the fonts that are going to drive your brand? And the reason we do this is so that there's consistency. Consistency builds trust, and it also builds familiarity. And people will look and they'll be like, oh, that's Leah and Todd. Oh, that's Shannon. Oh, that's Carla. They'll just know these brands. Like, Nike, Old Navy, Target. These were not haphazardly thought out brands. They were very well thought out, and now they've become staples in households where if you see a red Target, then it's Target, right? So we want to create the same thing. Even if we're a solopreneur, we want to have that same thing because every post you do, every Facebook Live you do, every ad you place, you want it to be building familiarity because people don't always respond the first time, but they will respond after the 7th or the 10th or the 13th time. If you're all scattered all over the place, they're not going to recognize you.
One thing that as a solo entrepreneur, I guess there's two of us in our business, it's a little bit different, but as someone who's building an online business, a question that people would have is like, do I have to do all of this before I take any action in your business? And I'd say definitely not. Take action and then formulate this as you go because it's going to change and you're going to learn. If you're worried about the time it takes to sit down and ask these questions and formulate this brand, you're actually going to get that time back on the back end. Because imagine if you already know the fonts that you're using on your video thumbnails, you already know the colors that you're choosing for this, that, or the other thing. Every single time that you go to create a piece of content, you don't have those decisions because those decisions take mental energy, they take time, and it's draining. And so when you have all those decisions pre-made, that's fabulous. That's going to save you time and energy, which allows you just to create and do your thing.
It is. It's very draining. It's also, if you outsource anything, like let's say you do go to Fiverr or Upwork or anything and you want them to create a flyer for you or a website or a header for your social media, idea, it's very difficult for the designer if you don't have a starting point, if you don't have your colors selected or your fonts selected, because there are millions of fonts and there are millions of colors, and it'll be exhausting for you because they're going to come back at you with something that you hate. And all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh no, I hired someone that doesn't know what they're doing, you know? And it's not that they don't know what they're doing. It's just they need some direction and some guidance. So creating a brand guide is very important. And for people who are solopreneurs, you know, I started a home-based business many years ago before Facebook was even a thing. I think probably what's his name who started it was like in maybe not diapers, but he was like
elementary school maybe.
Yeah, you might have been in elementary school developing his geniosity, you know. Facebook didn't even exist when I started in home business, and I had to do ads and things like that. And even with ads, I wanted to make sure that the verbiage was consistent because the people would see the same ad over and over again, right? If you are starting out as a solopreneur, there's a couple of things that you do want to give attention to right off of the bat. And a logo isn't one of them. You don't need a logo starting out, but you do need to put attention on like your Facebook header image and your Facebook profile image and the little blurb about you, right? These are important things that are branding. If you think of branding as your messaging and your communication, it's your online communication to a viewer. So if you have a picture on your Facebook header and all you see is like this part of you and that's it, it's not a good picture. We've had clients come to us and I've gone to their Facebook and I'm like, there's a lot of your stuff going on in that header, you know? So unless you want a bunch of like strange guys giving you marriage proposals, we need to change that up. You know, there's a little bit of editing that needs to go on there. If you're on Facebook and you're posting and you're going to use Facebook for business, maybe to attract people or prospects, you don't want to be posting a lot of political stuff. You don't want to just be sharing other people's content. You want to actually originate your own. You want to ask questions. You want to engage people in communicating with you. If you're going to grow your audience, you're going to want to get into Facebook groups, right? And if you're in Facebook groups, you're going to want to share and you're going to want to know what you're sharing. What you're sharing is a part of your brand. It's your communication asset. So if you look at it like your brand assets are like your logo, your pictures, your colors, your fonts, your business cards, if you use business cards, and then your brand communication assets are the core messaging of your business. If you ever decide that you want to hire someone to blog for you, or you want to have someone manage your social media, which you will at some point, like when your business grows, you're not going to be doing all your posts yourself. You're going to want to have at least 10 or 15 core statements that are the driving communication points of your business. And that's important because if you have those, then there's not a lot of guesswork. If you know what the 10 things you talk about all the time, you just go in and you like spin those 10 things, or you provide value on those 10 things, or you provide a new tip on those 10 things. And your content, you can plan out an entire year's content that way. So it just makes it very simple and very easy. If you don't have your brand, that's when you get tempted to see somebody post like a joke on their Facebook, and next thing you know, you're posting it on yours, and you know 25 people are unfriending you because they don't like it. And it's okay if people unfriend you, but the only reason they're unfriending you is because that wasn't part of your core messaging in the first place.
It didn't speak to your target audience. It wasn't why they were there, and it threw them a curveball. Absolutely. Now, any last words or tips or wisdom to share as we wrap this up for the solo online entrepreneur as they're diving into this branding world?
Yes, I think plan for the future. Think with the future in mind. Sometimes when we're solopreneurs, we get started in a business, we're thinking about like this week, or we're thinking about next week or next month. Or if you're in direct selling or network marketing, you're thinking about hitting the next rank. If you're a coach, you're thinking about getting that next client, right? Or maybe you're doing a course launch and you're thinking about that. But you also want to think long term. And a year from now, where do you want to be? And that is going to drive a lot of your core brand in everything that you do. And if you're doing any type of online marketing, you're definitely making funnels for lead generation, and you're probably making some freebies freebies that people can download, like checklists or ebooks or guides that people can follow. I know a lot of my clients are coaches, and we do, worksheets or challenge worksheets or planners or things like that that are freebies for their audience. You want to have your core brand message really dialed in so that creating all of that becomes very easy. Sometimes people, when we talk to them, they're just overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed because the very simple questions haven't been answered in their business yet. Like, who am I? Why am I doing this? And then how am I communicating? What am I? Sometimes people, I'll say, what are you? What do you do? And they're like, and I get that, but you have to know what you do to communicate that properly to people, or they're confused. There's a very old statement in sales, and no matter what business you're in sales. I'm going to just break that to you right now. You're in sales. If your business is going to make money, you're selling something. So you're in sales, but there's this very old statement that is so profound and so true. And that is, if you confuse them, you lose them. Get very, very clear on your business, then develop your brand. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do it over time. Start with the basics, like dress up your Facebook, dress up your Instagram, get those things really dialed in. Make sure if someone goes to Instagram and they go to Facebook, and I know this sounds very fundamental, but we diagnose this all the time, every day. You go to Facebook, you go to Instagram, you go to LinkedIn, and there's a different description on each one. So you want to have the same description. You want to be who you are across every platform. So that would be my suggestion, is just start there and then get really good. And don't get duped into getting a logo on Fiverr, because you don't just want a logo, you want a whole brand guide, strategy. You do want a logo at some point, but you want it to, you don't just want something pretty, you want something that really is a message.
Now, Shannon really knows her stuff about branding. To get connected with Shannon, to learn a little bit more about branding, in the description of this video, you're gonna find a free PDF giveaway from her all about branding to really help you through this process. Now, if you're sticking around on YouTube, the next thing you should watch is the video in the upper right corner of your screen. This is a video where I dive deep with you to really flesh out who your target audience, or your avatar, what Shannon just talked about, who that person is. Because in order to do all of this branding stuff, any of it, you really, really need to fully understand that target audience, that avatar, so that you can do everything else. So watch this video next. Again, this is Leah Rae from ToddandLeahRae.com, and I'll see you soon.